And is my volume
All volumes
audio
up.
quality still coming through good?
Yep.
Okay.
Still coming through. Y'all's volume's up. And ha. There you go. Ooh, yeah, there you go. All right. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads and our Around the Hearth chat, or at least that time slot, where we are talking about nightmare lairs for your dragons, specifically. Let me see. We have this time, like last time, Levi. We have, there you go, Zachariah from Avenue Studios.
Howdy.
Connor, who is connected to Kane, who is... They are connected via gaming, and they're here to input stuffs to the conversation.
Also a long tube. That is just off camera.
That had to be a really long. Anyway, and then there's.
He also came out of that tube, funnily enough.
Right? It was weird. It was a weird time for everybody.
All right. You guys getting weird and crazy and all that stuff. Let's focus on what we're supposed to, because last chat did not focus on what it was. Did not focus the front on what it was supposed
good though.
It was funny though. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it last time. This time we're talking about black dragons and basic info on black dragons. General info is the 0 to 5 is the wormling, all the way up to 1,200 years plus for the great worm. So you're dealing with long portions of time for your dragons to exist in an area, and make their plans. Always remember the kobolds, because they can be really nasty when they need to be. Black dragons like boggy swamps, especially stinky ones, is what my little books say. So there you go. They don't have a specific enemy. They just like to kill everything if they can. They just kind of like it because they're sociopaths like that, or whatever you want to call it.
They are chaotic evil.
They'll kill whatever, because what are you doing in their swamp?
What are you doing in my swamp?
A very different movie.
Yeah.
Giant dragon. What are you doing in my swamp?
Yeah, and then he just breathes acid on all the fairy tale creatures, and then you roll credits because they're all
It's a short film instead.
Yeah.
Except for the female donkey that somehow gets on his good side, and they end up having donkey dragon baby.
Donkey baby!
Oh god, did we combine the plot now? Oh shit. The
already
filmmaker was
had
adamant about a few things. You could change it from an ogre to a dragon, sure. But he still had to be angry, and a donkey still has to have sex with a dragon.
Because the donkey, hey, if you look at classes, that donkey was an awakened creature that had class levels as a bard.
Yep.
Terrible.
It's perfect. It's so perfect.
Yes.
And it wouldn't stop singing either. God, it does.
It fits too much. I'm just telling you.
Don't like it. Don't like it, and I'm mad you brought it up. Anyway.
Black dragons also, as far as favorite foods, they like fish, mollusk, and other aquatics. So I bet you could get some frog legs in there too. And if they do
some merfolk.
Big boggards, boggards got really big frog legs. So there you go. Gripply, those would be tasty, I think. As far as land animals, they prefer red meat from land animals. I would also throw in there, I would expect them to appreciate fermented food too, in my opinion. So,
I'm just picturing like a huge chunk of bog butter. Like sometimes they dig out of the marshes in Ireland, just like a 50-pound hunk of butter. It's been sitting under a mound of peat for the last 400 years.
Dips its talon in, tastes it. Not ready yet.
Black dragons are...
All black dragons say speak with a thick Scottish brogue. Confirmed.
They're the dwarves of the dragons, because they just like to be...
They're the dwarves.
Leave me alone with my gold!
I want to live in my swamp with my donkey wife.
It's a thick Scottish accent, but you know it is also Canadian.
Yeah.
Anyway, black dragons are a tough one for me actually to make a lair for, just because in most settings, black dragons aren't like, they don't have very thematic things other than the fact that they are extremely aggressive alligators. Like, they just lurk in water, as far as I know.
Structurally, I've normally drawn them up as like super-sized beaver dams, like the same sort of like entrance and exit system, just sort of like that structure taken to its logical extreme. And I mean, like we talked about with the blue dragons in 5th edition, and to a lesser extent in the other previous editions, the area around a black dragon's swamp house is just like awful, corrupted stank pit.
Yeah. The only...
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the only time I can remember running a black dragon was that one that Big Jack killed while crying his eyes out.
Okay.
I only know this story secondhand because I wasn't there.
You were there, weren't you?
No.
No,
the back Chris he did with the weird blunderbuss thing.
No, it wasn't even that.
Nobody here has context. Nobody here has context for this.
You don't need context. They were fighting a black dragon. Their kobold got the killing blow by doing like a flurry with his bow and arrow, but he was so scared that he was crying his eyes out the whole time when he got a nat 20 after nat 20 after nat 20.
Nice.
1 in 8,000 chance or something.
Yeah, and just murdered it. And you just... Anyway.
Okay.
Well, just a second. We don't have to stop this recording, but we have to exit the call and then re-enter the call or something like that. Because
Google
Google! Okay. So, we're going to pause right here and come back. Okay?
Okay.
All right, we're back. We had to switch over different calls for the Hangouts, but now we're back. Or not Hangout, or whatever it is. But
whatever.
Now we're back. Yeah, whatever.
The internet was grumpy.
Yeah, well, Google was grumpy, so we fixed it. So, back to Black Dragons.
We were using their free service for too long.
We were talking about actually building out their lairs and such. So
an interesting concept. There was the discussion of them not strictly having elaborate layers, but them corrupting the area around them. And I think it would be really interesting to play into that in a sense part of how you know that you are in a black dragon's domain is that you see this like weird fungal bear just charge at you because it's been corrupted by the darkness of this area. A little bit madder, a little bit more toxic. Even if it's not directly things. In a lot of the other cases, we have things the dragon specifically did, but I think the just pollution nature of black dragons means this kind of passive effect might be something you want to play into more.
I don't want to like fight a grizzly bear in the swamp that just like comes out of the trees going like, "You're not a real fan."
Yeah.
Welcome to the toxic lair. Everything here is very toxic.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That is fair.
Answer my curated 15-question quiz about Hatsune Miku or perish.
I'm sure your parents weren't that bad.
Well, aside from that type of toxicity, the idea of the corruption of the land, it goes back to the idea that it's corruption to us, but it's just housekeeping to them. It's kind of how they like it. So for us to say, like with the red dragons, it gets really volcanic around them sometimes when you have the auras that are there perpetually that they can't control. But that's just how they like it. So, I mean, that's not necessarily corruption to them. Black dragons like swamps. They like acid and poison and nasty stuff and fermentation and what we call corruption and decay. So they want that.
I was gonna draw another parallel to between white and black dragons, kind of like I did in the last episode when we talked about blue dragons, about white and black dragons both like having antisocial personality disorder. But I think much like white dragons, black dragons control a territory that no one else really wants.
Yeah.
So their domain is probably could theoretically be significantly larger than that of a lot of other dragons.
Well, apparently
especially if they're like in 5th edition, their ambient aura is messing up the terrain around them.
Mm.
Apparently, they do tend to have some overlap with the green dragons because, you know, what goes between a flooded forest area and swamp can get kind of murky.
Yeah.
Right? But apparently sometimes they try to negotiate with green dragons, but it's just real hard because they're just so mad. They fucking hate everything. They hate all intelligent life. And that's something you got to remember. They hate intelligent life. They hate it. Even other black dragons. Black dragon mating isn't so much romance, and mommy and daddy loved each other very much, so much as it was they were real randy in spring. And
I hate you so much. I hate you too. Get in a bed.
It's like that scene from Mr. and Mrs. Smith where they're trying to kill each other throughout the house, and they just
Except they're not chill afterwards. They go right back to it as soon as
they go right back to it.
Yeah.
But
all right, I've dropped my fat dragon nut. Time to get back to violence.
But on the topic of they hate,
nut.
on the idea of they hate intelligent life, that means that you can still fill the swamp with plenty of other forms of life. Black puddings.
Yeah.
You think you're just trudging through what is, already probably too acidic water that's burning at you, but no, it's a black pudding. It's just going to drag you in, and you're going to become part of its tar. Or shambling mounds. Oh, hey, look, there's one little patch of greenery in this otherwise black and murky lacquer. No, that thing is just going to pick you up, pull you down, and they are going to become its fertilizer. There's so much that you can do with the few things that are actually maybe tolerated in this area that are seeping off of this extensive area that nobody else wants, that do get to thrive here. And the Black Dragon, he's cool with it because it's just going to be spreading its ichor and causing the pain and misery that it delights in. Like, yeah, maybe a hag that stumbles along the outskirts of it, he, gets some amusement. At least that thing's gonna, cause some misery to somebody. But will-o-wisps, let them lure people into this swamp. Who knows what mischief they're going to be? Who knows where they're all going to end up? And then, last but not least, always let the party know what the threat is to them, what they might become. You could just become a swamp zombie. All of you is just going to rot and decay away. You're going to become these bones that you see seeping around through here, but maybe you become reanimated by fungus. You get to become something that shambles along in here and doesn't fully rot.
It's like as if you're some kind of mound that shambles. I don't.
Yeah.
know.
I don't. Yeah, sometimes it's full of corpses. What could those be called?
But I would actually say the opposite of you can surprise players with a black dragon here and there. If they're going through a swamp, you can allude to there being something in the waters. You can allude to there being some kind of apex predator. Give them a brief flash of a tail moving through the water, or a scaly hide they catch out of the corner of their eye. They're probably going to think it's some kind of gigantic gator or something.
They're not wrong.
Until they see wings eventually.
Wow.
And then they realize that they're not trying to skirt a dumb animal, They're being toyed with by, yes, an apex predator, a very large, very angry gator. It just happens to be able to think properly and also breathe poison.
And cast magic.
Cast magic.
I think we're all
And has a
approaching
very
this.
good stealth score in the water.
I mean, if you've been playing Dungeons and Dragons long enough, if you've gone through like most of the different terrain types that exist in your classical high fantasy setting, your players are probably already on high alert if you're in a swamp, because nothing nice lives in the swamp.
Nothing's good in a swamp. There's no good things.
Have you ever been to like a real nasty swamp in real life? They suck. They suck.
They're bad.
They
But people
suck.
live there.
There's
Yeah.
mud. They shouldn't.
Here's the thing, man. The people who live there, they suck. Apologies to any of our viewers who live in a nasty ass swamp.
But you know who you are.
You know who you are, and you know you suck just a little bit.
There's actually a beautiful swamp that is local to us, the Virgin Swamp, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't have any of that foulness to it. It actually has a lot of
It's not a
beautiful
proper swamp.
greenery.
That's
It's
a
not a
bog.
proper
That's
swamp.
different.
It's more
That's
of a bog.
different.
It's different.
No,
It's
bogs
not-
are different.
It's not
Bogs
like
are
the
okay.
marshland here that's outside
You
the
can
fucking
chill.
hot springs. Everything
chill with the
stinks like
bog witch.
sulfur, and it's full of bugs. And there's
Here's the thing.
walkways
Here's the thing.
everywhere because it's fucking knee-deep, fucking stank water full of mosquito eggs for miles in every direction.
If I were to say, yo, I'm going to go chill with the bog witch, that sounds like, oh man, he's going to go chill with some bitch who lives in the watery forest area. That's going to be a good time. If I say, I'm going to go check on the swamp witch, you're like, dude, why are you going to die?
The swamp hag.
I think we're all approaching this lair thing wrong. I mean, we have somebody who's not here this time, but knows all about black dragons in gaming. And,
Yeah, why the hell are we doing this all the time?
and he said he was going to sit this one out, but he said, and I quote, "But you can tell them that black dragons tend to lair in one-bedroom apartments, using the bedroom as a sort of office, with which they hide away from the world, and charge folks for Dungeons and Dragons games, so they have enough money to order takeout, and generally do not leave their said lairs, preferring to contact others via sending stones, with which to play said video games." So that's the real lair of black dragons.
Okay. Yeah, we're very far off.
Dragons in a modern setting would, I can only imagine, rack up a truly tremendous skip.
You know, in a modern setting, the black dragons are neckbeards.
Or what?
Neckbeards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. This like humongous credit card bill for Uber Eats every month.
They're antisocial. They never want to leave. They don't want anyone else to come in, though.
They just want to hang out on their weird anime forums and talk shit about girl and Panzer or some nonsense.
What time are we at?
We are not quite there yet. But as far as dragons and their lairs, actually talking about dragons and their lairs, I did have a dragon lair in my game that I ran for a long time. It lived in the Blighted Lands, the Cursed Swamplands, or whatever you want to call them, and it was on the same continent that Kane was playing on with my first campaign. And the reason that it was there is because no one else wanted to be there, but also it was actually one of the oldest dragons in the world that I had, because it stayed off by itself and it did all of its stuff by itself, and it didn't. And I guess that kind of extends to black dragons in general. They're the ones that are the least likely to have a full network of kobolds helping them, I would guess. Because they don't really care.
They are the
kobolds
most
are just-
likely to employ spies.
Yes. Black kobolds are either, like you said, wet workers, they're spies, assassins, or they're terrible little tribal monsters.
I also think that like the traps they devise are like, if they're not just like nasty little like punji pit foot traps.
Oh no,
they're probably like Saw style torture porn, like rooms full of used hypodermic needles. You gotta dig through them to get like a key that unlocks your wrist shackle, so you don't have to hack it off with an old bandsaw blade. Like nasty, designed to hurt you for as long as possible traps.
I'm going to take something back. There is a good example in media of a dragon. It's not officially a black dragon lair, but it very well could be with some reskinning. Blighttown.
From Dark Souls? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
just imagine
replace
all
Rice
that
Krispie Kellogg's with a black dragon, and it's pretty much that whole
pretty much
nightmare
it. Like, you're done. Like you have like the primitive tribal people at the very bottom that worship it, then will defend its lair. You have the entire like structure area where the black kobolds will be living and being nasty little gremlins and
shooting poison darts at everything that moves.
And just like Blighttown, nobody wants to go there. Nobody ever wants to be there. Nobody wants to spend any amount of more time in there than they have to.
Yeah, it's just you and the poison marsh and the poop giants. That's it.
That's the thing is like black kobolds in their like little huts and everything. I can't imagine all of their attacks not being fecal based. Like
it's just throw their poop at you all the time.
It's a natural poison.
It's just like filthy spears and arrows and poison darts, and being in the swamp is already terrible. We might as well make it worse, you know.
It's gonna be like everything's bad. Everything's bad here. Nobody wants to think about it. It's gross.
Save versus poison, then save versus disease.
And that's something to remember.
You came in here without an infection. You're gonna leave with one.
I'm gonna leave with at least one.
One of the other things that I like to think about with the Black Dragon is their ability to corrupt the environment around them means that they actually grow their domain in a different way. So think about how often a medieval city would be on a waterway. So the dragon goes and takes its residency upriver from it. And a river, and he lets his ichor go through until the town gets sick and full of miasmas and disease and plague rats. Then the kobolds can go and drive out the civilization, just be that last straw until a whole city, a castle, is just enveloped in this swampy ichor that grows up around it. It's abandoned, so it's not an empty lair, a cityless swamp. It is a city that is now sinking in the ick that is produced by this dragon-induced swamp. And the kobolds just spread it out.
Yeah. The whole castle is just sort of like at an angle.
No, dude, that's awesome. No, I love that. I love imagining medieval Venice as a fucking lair for the dragon.
Oh, yes. Yes, an entire Venice that is just a dragon swamp.
As you said, the black dragons can get real old because nobody bothers them. So can you imagine taking over an entire city and it just being like an entire adventure path, basically going through to get to this black dragon who's living somewhere in this canal city that nobody wants anything to do with?
Well, because they're
They could even be taking that to sort of the logical campaigner's extreme of what Zach said, where he could be moving into moving his realm of influence to overlap with a town, and then when the kobolds come in and drive all those people out, he picks up shop, moves on to the next town.
Or
and
what
because they're just all of these townships have to be on waterways because it's the only way to. It's the only way to water the town and to move trade up and down the river. So
very common.
Yeah, you're just gonna keep hitting towns as you poison the water.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's the PC's personal home-based town, their hub, they go out on adventures, but every time they come back, the news in the tavern that they pick up and the word on the street is just some people are getting sick and these there's infestations. These little towns that they'll tend to avoid because we're big adventurers, we're going out saving the world while their home is being moved in on and being permanently changed.
Yeah,
because players, you know that the very first reaction is just going to be, God damn it, Jimmy, you shitting upriver again?
Yeah.
I told you to go down river. We drink the good water.
There's also, that could be an excellent way to motivate if you're a DM for like very reactive or sort of like players who either don't know how or don't really engage with the plot at all times.
I don't know what that's
It was high school. Shut up. I was still learning how to tell stories.
It was last week. No.
He wishes we played last week. I will. I'm just gonna go cut myself when this episode's done. I'm kidding.
It could be a very good way to like sort of immediately introduce a threat to your player characters in assumably a village they care about, full of NPCs they care about. That is a problem that they can't immediately deal with because you gotta find the dragon, and also like, man, you're third level, you can't fight a dragon. Don't be stupid.
You want to go fight a dragon? You said no, you just ain't gonna die.
You gotta go out. You gotta go to the apothecary. Apothecary can't fix dragon sickness. It's dragon sickness, dummy. You gotta find someone else. So you gotta go to the local lord. He got a lot of money and swords and junk, and you're like, local lord, we gotta get rid of the dragon. It's dragon sickness. The apothecary can't fix the dragon sickness. It's dragon sickness, dummy. And he was like, well, you're gonna have to go up there, and the local lord's like, I don't fuck with dragons. So you're like, well, what are we gonna do about it? And they're like, well, you could go over here, and maybe they'll go talk to the bog witch, not the swamp witch. Do not confuse them.
Don't talk to the fucking swamp witch.
And they're like, all right, and they go to the swamp witch, and they're like, swamp witch. We got naturally they've confused it in their notes. Your note taker has swapped the two up, and they go to the swamp witch, and the swamp witch tries to eat them, and they're like, all right, we're not doing that shit again. So they go to the bog witch, and the bog witch is like, I don't know if I want to screw with a dragon. That sounds like a lot of hard work. And by this point,
you gotta help us.
You gotta help us. We're like, we went and dealt with the swamp witch. We're 12
like,
level
my
now.
potions are too powerful for you, adventurer.
I'm not here to put up with your shit, bog witch. We fought the swamp witch.
No.
I went up like 4 levels. All right, I can take you.
Well, if you could take me, why do you need my help? Because to fight the dragon was in you all along.
You realize that the only cure for dragon sickness is friendship and
murdering a dragon. There we go. We just made a campaign.
Yeah, there you go. Take that. That's free.
That's free. That's all you viewers out there. Take those notes. Do it verbatim.
That's my pro bono work for the year.
Well, we look at it when you're having that, because that obviously would be hilarious to play through. But
the arm wiggles are important.
When you have the corruption coming down the river and the town getting swallowed up, you can also remember that these are going to be the most sadistic, and they're going to be the most sadistic dragons that enjoy the suffering. Because even their little baby dragons are born cruel. Even the little ones are cruel. They torture little animals and stuff. So they're going to keep some of your friends and family from that town they're corrupting alive. Like people you know, they won't be dead. They'll just be gone somewhere. You'll come back to the town and everybody's just gone because the corruption was enough to get some of them off. And they start raiding and taking away people instead of just killing them in the raid.
And planting spider eggs in them.
They go,
we went there.
Get the spider eggs? Who knows? We just found spider eggs were like open wide, bitch.
But it's a high fantasy setting. You're in the swamp, so guess what? It sucks. It's a bad time.
It's a bad time. You're in the swamp.
There's horse-sized mosquitoes in the high fantasy swamp.
Oh yes, because it stirs.
What eats the sturges? Huh? It's the 2 horse-sized spiders.
Yeah. Yep.
Here's the question: do you ask yourself, when you think of a swamp, what do you think of? You think of Shrek Swamp because you're a millennial. And then you think, why did all the fantasy characters get sent to the swamp? Because it sucks.
Only
Farquaad didn't
ogres
want to
like
build
it.
his perfect little world there, so you had to go over here.
Into where? Into the place that's not nice. The place we're not even going to try to perfect. Because it sucks.
Fair enough.
And loot and treasure. The swamps with these acids and corruption and such, not a lot of stuff is going to survive. You're not going to find a lot of loot. But what you do find that isn't rotted away to the point that it's useless is going to be precious. Very enchanted magical gear that somehow survives this level of corruption. Somehow, if you find something in there, only the most precious gems is not actually going to be destroyed. Only the most precious of minerals and metals. You're not going to find any lousy treasure in there. Probably not going to be a lot. But what you do find will be that...
It'll be non-ferrous metals or like other metal substances that don't rust or corrode.
Well,
like you said, magic items, and you said another thing.
Gems.
I lost it immediately.
Gems.
Yes, gemstones.
Like Ioun stones that once floated around a head and now just sort of sit next to the skull.
They just take
apparently-
adventurers. They just take adventurers wholesale and just hold them under there as they watch them struggle in the acid and slowly die, and then then you just leave them there as a set piece.
Black dragons, in contrast with other chromatics, don't sleep near their hordes. Actually, they tend to have them on different areas because hordes are heavy and a swamp has no good ground. That's why the Leaning Tower of Pisa is going over, because it's built on a swamp.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because it's got a black dragon around. I mean, okay.
I didn't say it didn't. I just said it's built on a swamp.
You can't prove that.
Man, the Leaning Tower of Pisa would be a great black dragon lair.
Yeah.
But also, do you know why the Leaning Tower of Pisa is tipping over? Because it's built on a swamp, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But I have an image now of the dragon like posing, like it's holding up the tower.
The dragon's on top, and you can just visually see the tower like tipping faster, like in real time.
You'll say, "Take that, Sicily. Your dirt's bad."
The hot take on Sicily's dirt.
I think that when I used the dragon in my game, it was in a spot, and we talked about how they didn't like living things, but unlife is okay.
Oh yeah, that swamp ziggurat where we fought hordes of swamp zombies.
Yeah, y'all had to fight.
There was
a whole horde.
one big Attack on Titan zombie.
Yeah. Luckily, they didn't have to fight an entire night of it, but they had teleported there using the ley lines because they thought they would get around the planet faster using the ley line teleportations, which they did, and it was working, but they went the wrong one the first time.
Oh, god damn it. There was a black dragon in Horizon Lands King. God damn it. You guys never found it.
I knew where the white one was. I don't know where the others were.
There was a black dragon somewhere, and it was story important, and we never got to it, and it was awesome, and I'm sad now again.
I bet you it's probably in a swamp because it sucks, right?
Yeah, probably. If I had to pick a place to put a black dragon, I would probably pick the place that looks like it was Satan's latrine. And
I just thought of like, what place is the worst? And coincidentally, that just always happens to be the swamp.
Well, when I had them at the swamp, they were fighting, like I said, all of those creatures and those undead, and they used a mud. It was the yellow musk.
Yellow mud? I don't want that.
Yellow musk creeper.
Yeah. It was a modified yellow musk creeper. And the dragon didn't even like to live near the ziggurat either, but it knew that there was a lot of money in there, so it just left the money there. It left all the golden hoard inside the ziggurat.
That's a hoard. Like, come on.
I mean, yeah, and that ziggurat was the only huge stone structure that like couldn't sink further into the mud.
Right. And y'all actually did have to go there to go into one of the ley line gates. And so that was because you had to fight a shard there too. Or, well, you had to avoid fighting a shard because it was the gate guardian. But the dragon left that place alone because the black dragon knew nobody else would bother with it. Knew nobody else was going to go there. And if another dragon was going there, it knew it could tell because it could watch the skies. You know, a dragon doing some secret to other dragons usually.
That's a good point. Nobody else is going to go there. Why is that?
In the ziggurat?
Is it because it sucked?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sensing a theme here, you know.
But those, but undeath is fine for black dragons. In fact, they might like it because it's a form of corruption. And
Yeah,
might
they're also like they wouldn't, because they're undead. They probably wouldn't have the temptation to torture them because they wouldn't.
feel
They're
anything.
zombies. They don't care if you stab them.
Mm.
So you know,
They
you might
might
use one as a pincushion.
Though
Yes,
I-
there's definitely a couple zombies in the Black Dragon's lair that's just like he's got all of his chef's knives just sticking out of him.
Well, we are almost done because we had to spend some of the time shifting over. I will say, though, before we leave, that the black dragon probably would enjoy practicing necromancy, not just do it because they needed extra power, but they would actually enjoy the corruption of the natural order of life and the degradation of it and such like that. So you can put that in there too. If you want to give them class levels on top of being an ancient worm, because they stay away from everybody and only breed every decade or so.
The dragon brought one person back to life with necromancy, and the person's like, "Oh my god, this sucks."
Yes.
I'm
Like,
honestly,
yes.
I'm genuinely, I'm genuinely surprised Anime Dead isn't on their racial
Their
spell.
spell
list.
lights, yeah.
I mean, they do have Insect Plague, and I like the
That sucks.
Yeah, that double sucks. I like the exoskeletal template for undead bugs. So there's probably a bunch of giant undead bugs.
Yeah.
That's
That's what Black
they
Dragon
just keep
did.
coming back.
The exoskeletal template. This is for Pathfinder. I like also, and you could translate it over pretty easily. I'm sure. But when you kill exoskeletal creatures, the undead vermin, they explode in a cloud of chitinous dust.
Shrapnel.
Yeah, I don't know if it
But,
does damage or if you just have to make fortitude or in 5th edition constitution checks because you breathe it in.
Dude, it's reverse diatomaceous earth.
Diatomaceous, but yeah.
Whatever. But it's instead of you killing the bugs with very small crushed up shells, it's the bugs killing you with their crushed up shells.
Yep. All right. We're I'm not sure where we are on time because of the gap in the middle there, but we're close enough. So, any final notes on Black Dragons?
There is one important note, something all players should take away from this video is if you're making a Black Dragon lair, if you're doing a Black Dragon, if you're doing thinking of what a Black Dragon would do, just think of how bad it sucks. And that's kind of the takeaway I'm trying to impress upon you.
One more thing about the exoskeletal creatures. Yeah. I'm just looking at their special abilities, and there's a little thing at the bottom called haunted exoskeletons, and sometimes stubborn spirits will end up inside the bugs. God
damn, that sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. So mad. Can you imagine if the Necromancer Black Dragon was doing that on purpose?
Yep.
That would triple, double doggy dare suck. That would upside down pineapple cake suck. That would suck so bad. You died in the swamp being tortured to death by a dragon. Your spirit's gone. You're like, finally, Nirvana. I can get peace from this awful hell. And then he grabs your soul and stuffs you in a giant scarab beetle, and that's your fucking life now.
You're just like, man, this sucks. And he's like, I know.
Yes!
They are the Snidely Whiplash.
And then him in the swamp
they
dance arm in arm around.
Black dragons. Black dragons are the Snidely Whiplash of dragons.
You got your Chads, you got your nerds.
Yeah,
You-
just turned up.
You've got your Chads, you've got your your nerds, you got your jerks, and you got your savages, and now you got your snideleys. So there you go.
Got your poop monsters.
So, thank you for
We
coming,
didn't even get
viewers.
Golgothans in a lair. Anyway.
Thank you
Sorry,
for
do-
coming,
do your intro.
travelers. Have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
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 It's too much energy.
Yeah, I know.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
All right, where were we?
All right.
Turn that off.
I hit the wrong button.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
Ah, yes. No, that's much preferable.
Excellent.
But I have to do that anyway. So. Oh.
It's really bad when you double up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets hard to
Voice with the
understand
baby
then.
filter.
Well, because it's got to be very difficult to do if you can hear yourself.
I can. It's weird. There's a button that lets me hear myself when I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, no, I've got the same voice mod, but whenever I can hear myself, there's just enough distortion or delay that it just.
It's so weird.
Well, Kane doesn't like his voice anyway.
That's true. It's taken many years at this point of editing the sound of my own voice to not immediately hate it.
Is someone.
That's me.
Oh, okay.
I have a soundboard button that just makes the Discord notification sound.
Yeah, it's you're the worst. The
Oh.
worst.